We are only days away from the beginning of the Boston Bruins playoffs, and they began to make some changes and get ready for their matchup against the Toronto Maple Leafs. They begin to analyze their opponent and get ready to go in an absolute brawl here in the first round. So we're going to be talking about the recent updates the Boston Bruins have had, some roster moves that are going to be coming, what their plan is, as well as what the biggest threat is from this Toronto Maple Leafs team for the Boston Bruins. So we're going to be touching on that here in this video. Before we do, though, we noticed that 81% of you guys are not subscribed to the channel watching right now. If you're looking for a spot to get all your updates throughout these playoffs from the Boston Bruins, as well as just the NHL in general, you're in the right spot. Make sure to hit the sub button. Join me along here as we take a deep dive into this Boston Bruins playoff run and keep you up to date with everything. It's free. You don't got to pay anything, and you get a brand new news source. So let's get straight into this, though, because we have a lot of updates here that got to bring you today. So we're going to start it off with with a move that is going to be a pretty big one, a pretty crucial one for the Boston Bruins if things don't end up going their way. And this comes from Connor Ryan. And Don Sweeney said that the Bruins plan on bringing up another 2 skaters ahead of tomorrow, or before tomorrow's practice, for the practice, and to stay up for the playoffs. So 2 people that we know that are going to be on this team next season guaranteed, but we should see in the NHL now is Johnny Beecher and Mason Lohrei. 2 guys that are currently in the AHL. I do think that these 2 really need to be in this roster. You know, Mason Lohrei hasn't played too often as of late when they've really been getting out, figuring out their defensive plan with Parker Wotherspoon and the rest of the guys there, the rest of the veteran guys. But Mason Lohrei has really proved a lot this season. Like I said a few videos ago when I was mentioning that he should be in this lineup for the playoffs. Whether he's starting or not, he needs to be on this roster to be able to play in any such scenario. And I really think it should be him and Johnny Beecher. You know, those are the 2 guys that I really think have the biggest jump ahead of everybody else who has the opportunity of being called up. They both have some fantastic NHL experience, have played some fantastic games, and those are 2 that I'm going to assume it's going to be that are going to be called up. You know, there are many other options, but I think these are the 2 safest for what we're going to see in this playoff series against the Maple Leafs. But hold your horses, we got so many more updates. Get another one here from Connor Ryan from Don Sweeney once again, and said that Justin Brazeau is still on a week-to-week timeline. Like I mentioned, about 2 weeks ago, a week ago, and his availability for the series, the start of the series, is unlikely. Started skating, but still has some hurdles to clear. But the big thing about this is availability at the start of the series. Now, he's also saying unlikely, so that's not counting him out at all for Game 1. Even though it may be unlikely, Game 1, I think, is okay if we don't see Justin Brazeau here. But I'm pleased that he didn't say this whole series. You know, Justin Brazeau, the guy who's just kind of surprised everybody cracking this lineup, what he's done in the NHL this season, his play style just fits the Boston Bruins perfectly. And we need him for the playoffs, if I'm going to be honest. If I'm going to be exactly clear on what I think the Bruins need, it is a Justin Brazeau, Pat Maroon tandem, I guess you could say. At least those 2 in the lineup in some way. Because we know that this Maple Leafs team, they're not that physical of a team. They definitely have some physicality, but it's going to be nice to try and get under their skin if a guy like Justin Brazeau, a guy like Pat Maroon is in this lineup to be able to weasel their way into the minds of all of these Leafs players that are going to be here in the lineup against the Boston Bruins here. So I'm hoping he will be back at least in this series at some point. If the Bruins go up, I would say up safely. I would say probably sit him, have him healthy for a next series if that does come. But I'm pleased that there's a chance that he can come back in this series. But we also have the long-awaited question. The goalie plan has seemingly been revealed, however, not to us. This one comes from Joe Haggerty here. It says, Don Sweeney won't disclose the goalie rotation plan for the playoffs, but there is one. Our goalies know what the plan is. Performance and results will dictate some of this, but we know what the plan is. Now, this is absolutely huge, that the Bruins have already decided what is going to happen for the playoffs regarding their goalies, and not deciding after Game 1. So to me, this kind of seems like they're going to stick with what's happening right now, because we know that Linus Ullmark has been the hot hand as of late. Jeremy Swayman has been the best goalie against the Leafs this season. So, in my mind, there's only the right option is to, at least for Game 1 and 2, switch him around. Whether or not that's going to be the result for the whole playoffs, I don't know. But that's, I think, right now, what I'm feeling from this, what I'm reading from this, when they're talking about the goalie rotation. And if I'm going to pull this up here regarding, like I said, about Jeremy Swayman, This year against the Toronto Maple Leafs, he has a 130 goals against average, a 959 save percentage, and 97 shots against, and 93 saves. But, like I said, that don't really change too much here. I do think that Jeremy Swayman will have maybe game 1, maybe game 2. But I think he'll be in with one of those, and Ullmark will be in with the other, and then they're going to ride from there to see what happens. But, like I said, I don't know about the rest of the playoffs, but the way that Joe Haggerty said that here, the way that Don Sweeney said that in that interview, makes me seem like we're going to see at least a rotation for Game 1 and 2, no matter the result of Game 1. So keep that in mind, take it with a grain of salt, whatever, because we still are not going to know until we see it, will be my guess. Trying not to leak anything to the Toronto Maple Leafs. But speaking of the Toronto Maple Leafs, let's head over to the biggest threat they pose to this Boston Bruins team here in this playoffs. And to the surprise of nobody, I think that this is going to be pretty obvious, and that is their offense. Their offense is absolutely incredible, the core four that they have, but this is what an article from The Athletic had to say. It says, despite their high-end talent, the Maple Leafs aren't a heavy rush team, doing most of their damage with a steady dose of shots from their slot and grade A ice. Toronto is one of the best teams in the league 5-on-5, ranking 7th in goal differential at a plus 33, with the Bruins are going to have to hold off the Toronto's potent offense. They're going to need their D-zone structure to hold its own at the front of the net. Now, that right there is a pretty obvious statement. That just kind of reiterates how good this team is on the offense. And we have to acknowledge that. We can't say that this team is not good on offense. They're lacking in offense. Some of their guys are slowing down because they will kill you doing that with that mindset on defense or on offense or whatever. That mindset against this team will just absolutely destroy your chances. So, got to keep that in mind. But I do think this is the better opportunity for the Bruins. I do think that this is a better option with a team that has to set up to be able to get their chances, or their prime chances, compared to a team that can rush and everything and just skate past your defenseman. Kind of like a Nathan McKinnon, Connor McDavid style of offense. But I do think that this defense is very good once set up. We don't have the quickest defense apart from Charlie McAvoy, and, apart from that, there's nobody that is super quick. So having a team that needs to set up around a very solid defensive core, win in position, I think is the perfect opportunity for the Bruins. But like I said, time will tell when this is going to be proven, if this gets proven at all. The Bruins are going to have to wait and see what happens here in Game 1, and we're not going to actually know until we see both of these teams on the ice going at each other. So we're going to have to wait and just figure out, but I do think that these are some perfect chances for the Boston Bruins here. But one final topic in today's video is the comment of the day, and I have a pretty good one, and I like to see this. This one here comes from David Armitage, I believe your name is. I do apologize if I get that wrong. Flyers fan here rooting for the Bruins, absolutely hate the Leafs. Please keep up the tradition of the first round exit. And David, that's what we're all hoping for here too at this channel. We want to see this tradition continue. Good to know we have some opposing, some foes, some mutual foes here in these playoffs, and we have some of our opponents cheering for us in this series here. So we're going to be super excited to see this. I'll be keeping you guys up to date with everything the Bruins have over here. Tomorrow, we're actually going to figure out who's getting called up to the NHL. May or may not, I'm not too sure yet, do a live stream before the game on Saturday, and we may be doing a collaboration with Leafs Digest here at some point over this playoff series, just for some mutual combatment. But, like I said, that's all I got here for this video. If you did enjoy, make sure you give the video a like, hit the sub button as well if you do want to stay up to date with all of this Boston Bruins news. But, like I said, I'm signing out. Thank you for watching. Hope you have a great day. See you later.